Gabbana, Fendi and Latana, Karen, they be sharing all that money, got me terrified. I guess they say they love my passing, so the G's to religion, I seen the fuck they keep giving, so I keep on
Oh boy.
taking. No, I can't take it, we can keep on taking, I keep on
It's been a hot second, YouTube, since I've been on. Figured it was time to do a proper actual motovlog for once. It's been a while, been a couple of months since I've actually just gotten out and filmed myself riding around talking nonsense. And it also occurred to me that I haven't really done a proper video of me riding with this new Austin Racing exhaust on, so I figured, you know what the heck, I'm gonna give it a little go here. I was waiting all day for it to finally stop raining, and finally has. So I'm gonna go out a little bit, do a little bit of riding before it gets any crappier out. Hopefully it stays like this. This isn't too bad. I don't think I'm going to be doing much talking though, to be honest. I'm mostly just going to be riding around, give you a hopefully high quality example of what this Austin Racing exhaust sounds like. Keep in mind I do have the decibel killer in because it was too goddamn loud. It was just too goddamn loud. At least from the perspective of me riding it, when you're not on the bike, standing a ways away, it's actually not that bad without the decibel killer. But when you're sitting on it, man, this thing is loud. But you know, depending on your preference, is or isn't too bad. For me personally, I was going to go deaf. That thing was going to kill my eardrums so quick. Alright, gotta get some gas first. And then we'll do some curves and just ride around a little bit. Stands up. Alright. We're going to take my personal favorite back road trail, Secret Road. Secret Road. Listen to that roar. Jesus. Absolutely jaw-dropping. Never cease to put a smile on my face every time I ride this bike. Of all the exhausts I have heard, man, this one's just the best. On the MT10 at least. I don't know about other bikes, but ooh, neutraled. Absolutely disgusting in the best way. This thing just fucking roars, dude. It just roars. I love it. It's addicting, really. It's all you can really say. Here's to hoping I don't get a bug on the lens again. like my last moto vlog. But yeah, so after about ooh, there's another bug right there. After about a week of riding this thing, it was without the decibel killer, and it was readily apparent to me that it needs the decibel killer if you want to sit on this bike. The most I could do was about an hour, 2 hours without the decibel killer. If you're rolling at a high speed, you got your RPM above 5 grand, then you know, it's not too bad. It's about as quiet as it is now. But any low speed riding, anything under 3 grand, anything around second and first gear, holy shit, your ears are gonna be ringing by the time you're done. If you're gonna do that, I'd recommend getting some earplugs, man. I love loud poppy bikes, but that's just too much. Which is interesting because when you're not on the bike, it's not that bad. It's only when you're riding the bike, because it's like, obviously it's right there, it's in your ear the whole time. It's pretty bad. That said, I mean, it still sounds, it's gonna put a smile on your face. I've actually rode with a few other MT10 riders, same year, same bike, everything, same color, and had the Two Brothers exhaust with the first guy I rode with, and or the Two Brothers, I can't remember. The Graves exhaust was one of them, and honestly, don't even buy that exhaust, man. Like, it sounds slightly louder than stock. Cannot recommend on any level after hearing it in person. It is such a waste of time. Don't buy the Graves exhaust. Don't buy it. You might as well just, if anything, get a cat delete and keep the stock exhaust tip. Save yourself the money. The only other exhaust outside of the Austin Racing that I love the sound of, and I've only heard it on video, I've not heard it in person, but the Toast, I believe it's called the T-Slash or the something, I don't even know. The Toast exhaust that is offered for the MT10, based on what I've seen, sounds absolutely beastly. It sounds very similar to the Austin Racing, and I think it's actually a little bit more affordable than the Austin Racing. Really, it's but I just wanted the Austin Racing, man. I love the way they look. I love the design, I love the sound, I love everything about the Austin Racing exhaust. I guess you could say I'm an Austin Racing snob, in a sense. And man, if you hear this, you probably will be too. You probably will be too. Because honestly, best sounding exhaust. It sounds like an old school muscle car to me, personally. Can't tell you how satisfying it is just rolling through to a town being that asshole with the loud exhaust. Turns quite a few heads. Definitely gets you noticed. Not that most drivers really are paying attention to bikes on the road these days. What else to talk about? I got that ECU flash in there. I definitely notice a little bit of so the engine feels more aggressive. They said one of the interesting aspects that I wanted to talk about is they said on the website that it corrects, or I can't quite remember the wordplay they used. I believe it was something along the lines of fixes. Shoot, I don't know. Basically, it was supposed to make the engine braking smoother. It felt like that at first when I was first riding it. I have the two-wheel Dynaworks ECU flash, by the way. It felt like there was a little less engine braking at first. But now that I'm actually riding this thing more and more, I don't notice it. I still feel, look at that, crazy engine braking, no throttle. And the lower in the gears you are, first and second, that engine braking is filthy. Third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, they're all about the same. But first and second gear, you really feel that engine braking down low. I don't know, personally, it's not the end of the world. It's nice to have a little engine braking. I don't have to always use my brakes when I'm coming to slow down, like right now, falling behind this car. And it's nice to not have to hit your brakes all the time, but I was curious to know how I was gonna feel after they said cuts down on engine braking. Well, I don't notice a damn thing, really. It kind of feels the same. Maybe I wasn't able to ride it back to back, so maybe that's why, because it took about a week for the ECU to get back to me. Maybe I had just forgotten in that time, I don't know. But I definitely still feel a lot of engine braking on this bike. That's pretty much up to the rider whether or not they like it. Me personally, I would prefer slightly less in the first few years, but I didn't even understand how they could promise that it would slow down engine braking initially, because I thought that was something that could only be changed mechanically. With physical components, you have to change your gearing is what I assumed, but I don't know. What do I know? I'm not an engineer, I'm not a mechanic. I'm just a guy who slaps parts on and hopes it works. So maybe there's something I don't know going on there. But yeah, it's not the end of the world. There is definitely a moderate power gain. I wouldn't say I'm gonna blow any other bike's wheels off those top ends, but it certainly is slightly more faster now than it was before, which is appreciated. And one of the other big things that I was kind of not so certain about was whether or not my fuel mileage was going to be messed up. Let's spin around this guy. Whew, God, she sounds so good. Just growls. Absolutely growls. So much better than the stock exhaust. But yeah, back to the thing I was about to talk about. The fuel mileage was something I was kind of concerned about. This bike has a fairly small tank. I guess you could say average, slightly under average size tank. And this engine seems to really eat fuel. It really just seems to suck it down like a child at the damn juice box. I've heard the newer R1s are pretty bad in terms of fuel mileage. And I was worried that by doing this ECU flash and new exhaust, I might see a pretty significant loss in fuel economy. I think I have noticed a slight loss. A slight loss. But nothing major. Nothing truly world-endingly bad, I should say. It's livable. But it does, I feel like it depends really on how I'm riding it. If I'm riding it aggressively, it feels like my fuel is obviously going down fast, obviously. And if I'm taking it a little bit smoother, it's about the same. It almost seems like it might be a little bit better. It's just truly hard to tell. But something to keep in mind, you ain't gonna be winning any of those 24-hour sprints when you're at the gas station every 100 miles with this setup. Just sounds beastly. My favorite part of rolling around with this exhaust is how you always get the bros that come up and they're, oh, come on, rev it, and you just can't help it, you gotta do it. It's always fun. Always satisfying. That's what it sounds like constantly. I've been told it spits flames. I've never had the pleasure of witnessing it firsthand because I'm always on the bike. But I've been told when you run it hard, it will spit, snarl, crackle, and pop, which I love to hear. That puts a smile on my face. It's very intimidating exhaust. open her up. Love it. Love it. Best exhaust. Is the best exhaust, man. Do feel like a little bit of a dick at night when I'm riding home from work. And my exhaust is... I live in an apartment complex, so it's echoing off the apartments and then bouncing back off the apartments onto the garage stalls, and it's kind of creating like an echo chamber. I'm sure I try to glide in on silent with a neutral, kill it before I get to my garage stall, so I'm not shaking all the windows of the poor neighbors' houses, because my apartment complex is made out of cotton candy and duct tape. There are no walls, it's just a bunch of bullshit. It's not the worst though. It sounds a lot worse when you're on the bike. Fucking Ranger. Is there no stop sign here? Oh, there is a stop sign. Does sound nice though. She does sound nice. Of all the modifications I think I've done to this bike, this is without a doubt the one I do not regret. She was a bit spendy, and man, it took them fucking forever. I get, obviously, COVID wasn't doing me any damn favors. They're probably overworked and backed up and probably understaffed, so all things considered, my hat's off to Austin Racing for getting the parts to me and at least getting them to me. I'm sure it can't be easy. We got here a Harley boy. Hello. I'm sure it was pretty difficult. Wow, the water's low today. But yeah, they got it to me eventually. I think it took about almost 4.5 months for it to finally arrive. I was super antsy about it for obvious reasons. I just wanted my exhaust. I just wanted it so bad. It's a DRZ. Nice. thinking about working on doing is maybe finding a way to stream using my GoPro and phone. I'm looking into it, seeing if it's worth it. Basically, I'd use my phone as a hotspot, and then I would use my... Is that a cop in front of me? Use my camera to stream to my phone, and my phone straight to the internet. Bada bing, bada boom. The only downside is I gotta have a solid connection, which I don't unfortunately always have. So that's really just gonna depend on that. Better not be a gosh dang cop in front of us. Looks like one. Bucks are bad today. Yeah, pretty much my goal overall is to try streaming. I don't know how the hell that shit works. But we shall see. We shall see. GoPro has a streaming to Twitch option. The issue with the GoPro is the battery life. That's really the issue. I wish that GoPro had it set up so that you could plug a battery in and then just go, but that's obviously, we're not at that point with technology yet, unfortunately. I wish that... Oh, is it a cop? Looks like he's passing. Looks like no fucks are given. Are we gonna see some lights? Oh, I don't know. It's all blacked out like a cop explorer. I can't tell from this distance though. Oh, I guess not. Must be just a asshole in a all black Explorer. Why? Why do you do this? Why? ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué? Man, I'm already at 10,724 miles, man. I'm racking them up faster than I ever thought I would. The crazy thing is I feel like I've barely done any riding. I feel like I've just kind of been putzing around. I think I've done maybe like 3 big rides on this bike. The rest have all just kind of been moderate, question mark. Oh, look at that river. Twisties in. Hear this nice exhaust growling. Woo. Well, one of the things with this MT10 is it's a very upright bike. It never quite, I don't know if it's just me, but it never quite feels right leaning in hard. I'm always a little nervous, a little scared to lean fully because, man, it's hard to really gauge how much you need to lean because you kind of feel a little detached from the bike at times because it's a very upright position. Leaning on it I mean, realistically, what I need to do is just stop being a little bitch and lean. Because I know the bike can handle, especially with these nice Pirellis. I know it can. But it mentally and physically doesn't always quite feel like you want to do that. And I know I can lean this bike a lot more. But truthfully, I'm really scared. I think that's where that highly aggressive riding position you get on the sport bike comes in. You feel a lot more attached to the bike at higher speed. You feel like you're more in control of where it's going to go versus this straight up sitting position. Oh, a goose. Yeah, even just leaning down here, I feel a lot better. It feels a lot more comfortable versus sitting up straight through a corner. I feel like that's it's freaky doing that. It don't feel quite right. You know, all in all, you still can. You just kind of have to change up your mindset, really. Mentally prepare yourself for the horrors of riding that way. And we are good. Oh man, depending on the day, this engine from time to time, listen to that, just sounds so good. Depending on the temperature out, this engine does need a bit of time to get into acting character, I suppose is the best way to put it. When the weather isn't quite nominal, you do notice she is a little unhappy. Like when I first got on it, I could feel she was a little sluggish. That also could have a lot to do with the fact that I'm coming up on my next oil change too. The oil realistically should be swapped out. In fact, I think I'm going to do that sooner rather than later, just for the hell of it. Look at that horse. Got a big old horse over there. Well, yeah, once the engine's warmed up, two horses. Once the engine's warmed up, she really gets back into character and gets a little more gruntier, a little more rougher. Oh, buddy, get on your side of the road, please. Jesus. Effortlessly. This bike, man, she might not be the top of the line R1M, but man, you don't need a whole lot more than that, dude. You really just don't. I can't check my mirrors for bugs on the lens. Hopefully I don't have a bug on the lens. I can't see from this angle. Yeah. Let's just hope there's no bug on the lens. I get a lot of them. But yeah, man, this thing feels good. Sounds good. I love this bike. I think anybody that buy it would be happy with it. And I think it's a lot more accessible than people give it credit for. Traction control settings keep my wheel on the ground. I'm not much for wheelies. I don't like abusing my bike if I can help it. God, this thing just rips. I know this bike, monster torque, it wants to do wheelies. It wants to. But I don't want it. The traction control system does a great job of keeping the wheel on the ground without being wholly invasive. It could have a better traction control system, but That's for people who are riding it at the edge of performance, okay? Like, this is more than enough. The only true gripe I have about the bike would be better brakes. I think any bike could use better brakes. I think every bike should have Brembo brakes. Why, you ask? Why the fuck not? That's your life, man. The brakes are important. Out of all the things that should be top-notch, your brakes should be top-notch. Good brake versus a bad brake could be the difference between life and death. Ooh, shit. Man, there are a lot of bugs out right now. And she just grumbles. Ooh, bumpy road. Personally, I think as a rider, I'll never need more than what this bike is capable of. It would be nice to have it, but I don't need it. I don't think most riders ride at a higher level of performance than this bike puts out. You just don't. You don't ride at that level. Most people don't, especially not on the street. You know, the R1Ms and all that, the H2s, all that crazy high-speed cornering stuff is cool. It is. But you really just don't need it. I can get away with this easily. I can be happy with this easily. And I think a lot of people can. Which is why I think more people need to give the MT10 a chance. The MT9 has gotten a lot of love. But not very many people seem to care. Oh my gosh, about the 10. Road sucks, dude. It sucks. Realistically, I love this bike. And I think anybody that rides this bike will be happy. It's a good one. And I think it's a bike that can last you a very long time without you ever truly getting bored. I think it's a bike that has a lot of surprises. And that stock exhaust is the only thing that's really gotta go. Once you get something like this Austin Racing on, man, oh, it's a whole world of difference. It's a whole world of difference. The unfortunate aspect is I'm only using a lavalier mic, so nobody's really gonna be able to catch just how good this sounds. You have to hear it in person. So if you see someone with an Austin Racing on just about anything, especially a KTM, man, those sound mean. If you see an MT10 with an Austin Racing, man, ask them to give them a rev for you. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at just how grumbly, just raw it sounds. Overly satisfying, man. It's so overly satisfying. It's practically pornographic. I love it. And I recommend one for anybody that has an MT10, man. Whatever you do, just don't get the Graves exhaust. That one fucking sucks. You're gonna get an exhaust, get the Austin Racing, get the Toast. Don't waste your time with any of the others. They're all just that. A complete and utter waste of time, sir. Anyways, those are my thoughts. It's been another video, me blurbing it out. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. See you next time.